second PracticePalooza. In this video, we're going to practice past tense, present tense, and future tense. We're not really going to go over the rules for how to conjugate verbs into these forms, except for very briefly at the beginning of the video, so if you're unfamiliar with any of these rules, then I would go ahead and check out these videos here first. And always remember that you can pause the video at any time. This video is not meant to test your speed, especially if you're brand new to this grammar or you're not really used to speaking out loud. And then if you're not new to this grammar, then remember that you can also always adjust the speed in the toolbar below. So let's go ahead and get started.
Alright, past, present, and future tense. 연습해봐요. Now, I know no one likes conjugation tables, but we're going to start out with one just to help us map everything out in our brains. Here are 6 verbs in their dictionary form, and let's try to put each one into present, past, and future tense. First, let's just see how well you remember the rules. No worries if you can't remember anything at all, because we'll go over the rules again afterwards. We're going to use 먹다 as our tester to see what you can remember, and keep in mind that you can pause anytime. Let's just start with 먹다 in the present tense. Again, pause if you need. 먹어요. Past tense. 먹었어요. And future tense. 먹을 거예요. Now, as I said, if that was hard for you, then no worries, because we're going to refresh your memory with the rules right now. And if it was easy and you don't need a reminder, then go ahead and skip ahead to this point in the video to finish filling out this chart. Let's start with the rules for present tense. When conjugating a verb into present tense, the first thing that you will always do is drop 다. And then we'll look at the final vowel. You will add a if the last vowel is either a or o, and you will add o if the last vowel is anything else. And finally, you will make polite by adding 요. Now this is fairly straightforward when the verbs follow the rules perfectly like this. The hard part comes when you get a verb that ends in a vowel after you've dropped 다 and may or may not merge before adding 요. For example, 마시다 and 보다. Following the same rules we just did, drop 다, look at the last vowel, and then add either a or o. These are perfectly fine as they are like this, but when speaking they tend to merge into 마셔 and 봐. And then again, you will make polite by adding 요. Now because this is a practice video, we're not going to spend time going over these merging rules, but if you're unfamiliar with any of these rules, then feel free to check out lessons 6 and 7 in the playlist. Because the last thing that we have to go over for present tense is verbs that end with 하다, as in 공부하다, to study. As with the other verbs, the first thing that you will do is drop 다. And then technically what you're going to do is add 여. And then merge 하여 into 해. Now more commonly, these two rules here actually can come together and you could just say that you're changing 하 into 해. So starting from 공부하다, drop 다, and change 하 into 해. And then make polite by adding 요. If you want more detail on conjugating 하다 verbs, then go ahead and check out lesson 5. So going back to our chart right here, the way that present tense is usually described in Korean grammar books is that you will drop 다, and then you are adding either 아요, 어요, or 요요. 요요 referring to 하다 verbs in which you are technically just adding 하 plus 요, which tends to merge into 해. So you could really just think of this as 해요. I've only got it written here like this because this is how you will usually find it in a grammar book. Moving on to the past tense rules, we're going to start quite similarly to present tense, in which we will first drop 다. And again, look at the final vowel. If the final vowel is either a or o, then you will add asọ. And if the final vowel is anything else, then you will add 어서. And then to make polite, you will attach 요 to both of these. Again, this is fairly straightforward until you have to deal with vowels merging together. 마시다 becomes 마시어요 in present tense, right? Which then merges into 마셔요. you can think of past tense like squeezing a 서 in there before the 요. 마셨어요. Thankfully, 하다 verbs are a little bit easier, in which you could just think of it as fully dropping 하다 and then adding 했어요. 공부했어요. So back to our chart here. Again, the rule that you will usually see in a grammar book is that for past tense, you will first drop 다 and then add either 왔어요, 없어요, or 였어요. Again, this 였어요 is referring to 하다 verbs. 하였 becomes 했, so it's really just 했어요. And finally, let's move on to future tense. The rules for future tense I think are a bit easier. As always, you will first drop 다. And then instead of looking at the final vowel, we're just going to pay attention to if the final character ends with a consonant or a vowel. If the final character ends with a consonant, then you will add 을. And if the final character ends with a vowel, then you will add lir. And then you will finish this by adding 거예요. 먹을 거예요, 공부할 거예요. So the future tense pattern is add either 을 or lir, 거예요. Now that we've reviewed all the rules, let's go ahead and finish filling out this chart by starting with 공부하다. What is 공부하다 in the present tense? 공부해요. How about past tense? 공부했어요. Future tense. 공부할 거예요. 마시다 in present tense. 마셔요, which is technically 마시어요. 마셔요. Past tense. 마셨어요. And future tense. 마실 거예요. 가다 in present tense. 가요. Keep in mind that 가, 아, 요 is incorrect because this a vowel is far too redundant and doesn't need to be repeated, so it's just 가요. Past tense. 갔어요. And future tense. 갈 거예요. 청소하다 in present tense. 청소해요. Past tense. 청소했어요. And future tense. 청소할 거예요. 보다. Present tense. 봐요, which is just the merging of 보아요. But when speaking, it's usually said as 봐요. Past tense. 봤어요. And future tense. 볼 거예요. Now let's go ahead and start making some sentences with some time adverbs. Our first round is going to be with present tense. So let's get 4 time adverbs in here that we can use to make our sentences more interesting. Let's start with 매일, every day. 매일. 항상, always. 항상. 가끔, sometimes. 가끔. and 주말, weekend. And like how in English we usually say on the weekend, 주말 is usually said with 에, 주말에, on the weekend. 따라해보세요. 매일, 항상, 가끔, 주말, 주말에. Round 1 sentences will all be in present tense, so let's go ahead and use 4 verbs that we just had in our chart from earlier, and 4 verbs that may or may not be new to you. 운동하다, exercise, 운동하다. 샤워하다, shower, 샤워하다. 읽다, read, 읽다. Now in dictionary form it's pronounced as 읽다, but when you put it into present tense, you will pronounce every letter. 읽어요. 자다, sleep, 자다. Now we'll go a little fast just so this video doesn't get horribly long, so make sure to pause as you need. Let's go ahead and start with I study. 저는 공부해요. I always study. 저는 항상 공부해요. And for the rest of the sentences, let's just go ahead and take out I to keep this a little bit easier. I sometimes exercise. 가끔 운동해요. I exercise every day. 매일 운동해요. I shower every day. 매일 샤워해요. I sometimes read. 가끔 읽어요. I read on the weekends. 주말에 읽어요. I sleep every day. 매일 자요. And notice that it's not 자아요. This aa vowel is rather difficult to say, and so it just merges into 자요. This is very much like 가다, to go, in which we just say 가요. I clean on the weekends. 주말에 청소해요. Now, out of these verbs here, which ones do you do every day? Can you make 3 sentences? For example, 매일 먹어요. 매일 청소해요. 매일 자요. Go ahead and pause and try to say your own 3 sentences. How about which ones do you always do? Again, pause and try to finish these sentences. 항상. Which ones do you sometimes do? 가끔. And which ones do you do on the weekends? 주말에. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to past tense. So let's get 4 time adverbs in here. 어제, yesterday, 어제. 아까, earlier, 아까. 저번 주말, last weekend, 저번 주말. You might also be familiar with 지난 주말, to also mean last weekend. 저번 is actually just an abbreviation of 지난번, last time. And between 저번 주말 and 지난 주말, they're fairly interchangeable, the only main difference being that 저번 주말 seems to refer more commonly to the most recent past weekend, and 지난 주말 can refer to the most recent past weekend or other past weekends. Today, let's go ahead and stick with 저번 주말. 주말 being the word for weekend, just like you might remember it from over here, with 주 meaning week and 말 being a suffix to mean end. And just like how 주말에 means on the weekend, in Korean we will technically say on last weekend or at last weekend, which I know doesn't sound natural in English, but it's how you would say it in Korean. And to add this particle at or on, we would add 에, 저번 주말에. And finally, we've got 어젯밤, last night, 어젯밤. Notice that 어제 comes from 어제, yesterday, and 밤 meaning night. And just like how we attach 에 to weekend, in Korean you technically will say at or on last night, which is said again by adding 에. 어젯밤에. 어제, 아까, 저번 주말에, 어젯밤에. Alright, for round 2, we'll go ahead and keep the same verbs just to keep it a little bit easier. And let's start with, yesterday I cleaned. Remember to pause as you need. 어제 청소했어요. I ate earlier. 아까 먹었어요. I showered earlier. 아까 샤워했어요. I showered last night. 어젯밤에 샤워했어요. I studied last weekend. 저번 주말에 공부했어요. I cleaned last night. 어젯밤에 청소했어요. I read last night. 어젯밤에 읽었어요. I slept earlier. 아까 잤어요. And finally, let's go ahead and move on to future tense. 내일, tomorrow. 내일. Notice that this ir is also in the word 매일, which technically means day. There's a different word when you use day by itself, but ir is often used in words related to days. Next we've got 나중에, 나중에, later, which technically translates in English to at or on later. 이번 주말에. What do you think this one might mean? We've got 주말, weekend, and if 저번 is an abbreviation of 지난번, last time, then what do you think 이번 means? This time, which means 이번 주말에 is this weekend. Technically, this time weekend. And again, notice that we've also added 에. And finally, 내일 밤. 내일 밤. Tomorrow night. 내일 밤. And again, we will add 에. 내일 밤에. 자, 따라해보세요. 내일 나중에 이번 주말에 내일 밤에 Notice how not all of these time words need the particle 에. This is just something you have to memorize, but don't worry about mastering it today. I think one of the most common mistakes with beginner learners of Korean is adding 에 to everyday, yesterday, and today. So just be aware that these three will never have 에 attached to them. Now let's go ahead and make our future tense round just a little bit more interesting by assuming that you're now familiar with these four verbs right here. So let's go ahead and get rid of them and scooch the rest of these guys on up here so that we can get four new verbs in just a little bit later. But first, let's go ahead and practice with what we already know by starting with the sentence, I will exercise. 운동할 거예요. I will exercise tomorrow. 내일 운동할 거예요. I will read later. 나중에 읽을 거예요. I will shower tomorrow night. 내일 밤에 샤워할 거예요. Alright, and four new verbs in here. 일하다, 일하다. Work, 일하다. When said slowly, it's pronounced 일하다, but quickly it often merges into 일하다, 일하다. To take a walk, 산책하다, 산책하다. 전화하다, to call, 전화하다. 고치다, to fix, 고치다. I will work. 일할 거예요. I will take a walk. 산책할 거예요. I will fix it. 고칠 거예요. I will fix it tomorrow. 내일 고칠 거예요. I will fix the computer tomorrow. The word for computer in Korean is 컴퓨터. 내일 컴퓨터를 고칠 거예요. Alright, this is too many colors. I will call tomorrow. 내일 전화할 거예요. I will call later. 나중에 전화할 거예요. I will call tomorrow night. 내일 밤에 전화할 거예요. I will work this weekend. 이번 주말에 일할 거예요. I will exercise this weekend. 이번 주말에 운동할 거예요. I will take a walk later. 나중에 산책할 거예요. Now it's your turn to go ahead and answer. What will you do tomorrow? 내일 blah 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 올 거예요. Go ahead and pause and try to finish these 3 sentences. How about what will you do this weekend? 이번 주말에 And finally, let's go ahead and compare past tense and future tense. 과거형, 미래형. Let's begin with I studied versus I will study. Starting with I studied. 공부했어요. And I will study. 공부할 거예요. I slept, I will sleep. Starting with I slept. 잤어요. I will sleep. 잘 거예요. I bought, I will buy. 샀어요. And 살 거예요. Yesterday I cleaned, tomorrow I will exercise. 어제 청소했어요. 내일 운동할 거예요. Yesterday I read, tomorrow I will shower. 어제 읽었어요. 내일 샤워할 거예요. Yesterday I took a walk. Tomorrow I will eat. 어제 산책했어요. 내일 먹을 거예요. Yesterday I slept. Tomorrow I will call. 어제 잤어요. 내일 전화할 거예요. 끝! 여러분 잘했습니다. Just a reminder that all of the vocabulary that's used in this video will be in the description box below. So great job today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.